Hello. Today is a big first for me. After well over 600 interviews by me of business and thought leaders around the world, the tables are about to be turned, and I'll be the one in the interview's chair. My inquisitor, if that's the word, is the renowned Mitche Graf. Over to you, Mitch.
Good morning, Mr. Gallagher, from over here in the Pacific Northwest of the United States in Oregon. How's it going today?
Well, I tell you, it's so hot here in the northeast of England at 29 degrees centigrade, 88 Fahrenheit. We just haven't had this for, I don't know, maybe 150 years or something, 100 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
well, we had the same
I wasn't
temperature
around,
yesterday.
of course. I wasn't around that last
You
time.
weren't around then, not quite.
Yeah.
We had 91 here yesterday, and today it's about 85. But then it starts that slow gradual decline into the cooler fall weather. And I love the fall.
Yeah.
Two reasons. One, my kids are back in school, finally, after a year and a half. Things are getting back to a semblance of normal. I love fall sports. I love it when baseball playoffs take place, college football starting over here. And I just love that. And the fall colors in the mountains. We live in the Willamette Valley, which is just lush and green. The Cascades are 45 minutes from me. So now where you live, do you have mountains and rivers and lakes all around you? Or?
I'm very lucky to live in the county is called Northumberland, which is right on the borders with Scotland. Close by is Hadrian's Wall that many people may have heard of. You know, the Emperor Hadrian, when Romans came to conquer Britain, they built this wall to keep the Scots out, or the Picts, as they're called, you know. And the county Northumberland is blessed with lots of sheep and ruined castles.
Sheeps and ruined castles. I like that. Well, Malcolm, after 600 interviews, I feel very honored that you consented to allow me to ask you just a few brain-picking questions.
Hey, who can resist you? Who can resist your pressure, bitch?
On National Hawaiian Shirt Day, as it always is when I talk to you. But I don't think a lot of people understand really, what's behind Malcolm Gallagher, because you do so much and you've done so much in your career. And if I were to read your bio, seriously, it would take up the entire show. So I just want to give listeners and viewers just a couple of bullet points, and then I want to dive into some questions. I want to find out what makes you tick. You've been in the hospitality and construction and other industries for over 50 years. You're the co-director of Biz Vision Ltd. And last year during COVID, you launched Biz Vision TV. And I want to find out what kind of got you going to want to do that. You've also personally written and presented over 500 performance improvement videos around the world to all kinds of people. And that's just very impressive. You were also one of the lead coaches and facilitators for business opportunities at the London 2012 Olympics. That's quite a feather in your cap. But most importantly, you have been married for over 35 years to a beautiful wife named Kim. You have 2 daughters. You have 4 grandchildren, which I know you absolutely love to talk about. And of all that stuff that you got going on, I have a feeling that the most important thing to you these days is family, is spending time with those grandkids, so you can bounce the grandkids on your lap and have a glass of wine in your hand. But of all the things that you've done in your career, what do you feel has been the most rewarding for you?
Without a doubt, meeting Kim, my wife, in the travel business. And as you quite rightly said, we've been married for 35 years, been together for 40 years. And, moving forward in life is, as you quite rightly said, you need support. You can't do it by yourself there. And moving forward in life with a right companion is more important than anything, I think.
Yep. And what's the age ranges of your grandkids right now?
Oliver will be 2 next week. And then there's the 5-year-old grandson who's just gone back to school yesterday and said before he went back, why do I have to go back? I learned everything last time I went. And then I've got 2 granddaughters.
You know it all, Grandpa. I know it all.
Yeah, he knows it all. I've got 2 granddaughters, one 7 and one 5.
And see, in my life, I have a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 7-year-old child. I'm 59. I started late, but my 16-year-old, when she was 12, she informed me that she knew everything and I knew nothing. And I never knew that's how it was. I always thought I kind of knew a couple of things, but apparently I knew nothing. And she reminds me of that all the time. So you met her in the hospitality industry. Were you working in the same business together? How did you guys meet?
Yeah, we worked for we worked for rival tour operators. I worked for Thompson Holidays, which was one of the biggest in the world, and she worked for one of the fastest growing Intersun. And then we got into the travel agency bits ourselves, and the stories, go back, and we pioneered a lot of stuff, which were on things like reader holidays. I don't know whether you have them over there, but newspapers will put together promote packages, and we put the packages for the newspaper today, like the Daily Telegraph or the Sunday Times, come on a garden tour and things like that. So we had some quite pioneering work that we did, and that's what I've always liked, the creativity of the opportunity that is within business.
Well, and you're such a creative person. You're kind of like me. You spit out new ideas on a regular basis. How does she handle that? When you come up with a new idea and you say, "Hun, I have this idea for something," does she just drop her head and shake it? Or does she listen and support you and say, "How can I help you make this come to reality?" What does she do when you tell her you have a new idea?
Yeah, Mitch, she says the usual thing that good wives do. Where's the money in it?
How are you going to monetize it?
Yeah.
Well, as you know, sometimes we get into passion projects, and it really isn't about the bottom line. Sometimes it's just about doing something that we enjoy, that gives us value, or it gives other people value, right? It's not just about us. It's about giving back. And most of your career, you've always given back. You've always been involved with chambers and groups. You're a Freeman for the City of London. Correct? Tell me about that. How did that come about, and what kind of responsibilities does that come with?
Well, I was very chuffed because I live 350 miles from London, and it's a long way away. And they don't award the City of London Freeman that often. So I got it because I helped 400 plus not-for-profit businesses across London during the time of the London 2012 Olympics to get ready to bid for contracts around the Olympics and other social spin-outs that Olympics tries to improve upon. And I was quite chuffed to go along to get my award. And you can't see it, but it's on the wall looking straight at me, by the way. And part of the sort of thing about being a Freeman in the City of London is you're allowed to walk your sheep across London Bridge. And so I took it up one day and walked Dolly, we'll call her Dolly, across the bridge. And her and I are best of friends. We're thinking of running away to New Zealand.
Did you have a sheep before then, or did you go out and get one for the occasion?
No, it was kindly provided by the organizers. And obviously they needed to block off the bridge. There's a few other of us who did at the time, but you had to block off the bridge because London Bridge is pretty busy. Very busy. You're walking along with a sheep there, looking at you, thinking, "What's he up to?"
That's funny. Yeah. So what were you like as a kid? I mean, were you spitting out ideas when you were a kid? Tell me what your childhood was kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, I've always tried to be entrepreneurial. So, for example, when I was at school, second or grammar school there, and I was sort of 15, 16, 17, I was the person running the illegal shop selling LP or records to everybody.
How old were you?
Oh, it was about 15, 16, 17. I ran it for a while, until none of the teachers found out, by the way. And I'll be going around during the break with a list of records that I'd bought in or was turning over for people, so some people would bring their records to me and I'd put a markup on and everything. And I remember I was so profitable that I bought my first girlfriend, who then became a first wife, but that's a long time ago there, a watch, a Timex watch from the profits I'd made from selling. So I thought, well, hey, I'm on the road to entrepreneurism here, aren't I?
That's right. Yeah, in junior high, I had a used bike part business that I'd trade chains and sissy bars and handlebars. And I remember the best trade I ever made was for a banana seat.
Yeah.
I traded it for a couple of 45 records and a tire and a back tire. And that was like the best deal I ever made. But yeah, back then when we start businesses, or we're not really making money, but to us, it's a business. There's some foundational things that are laid down for us. We may not even realize it. But back then, what kind of entrepreneurial lessons were you taking out of those experiences early on that you still apply to your life today?
That doing business is all about personality, and it's not about the product. It's about who you are, and people have got to trust you first of all. And I'd like to feel that that's the guiding light. I mean, a lot of these things, Mitch, and I don't want you to feel it, come from your parents, come from the makeup. And my mother's saying, I say 94 at the moment. I'm going to see her on Monday. My father sadly died a while ago, otherwise he'd been 106 today.
Oh my gosh.
But you know, they instilled upon me integrity. Not so much, it didn't matter so much about hard work, you know, work you got to do, but the integrity of approach, you know. Don't stab anybody or don't kick somebody because on your way up, because on your way down, you'll meet them.
Isn't that a great lesson? And then we can pass it on to our kids, hopefully, and hopefully they pick it up and pass it on to their kids. But that's one of those hard things, especially today with all the craziness of social media and internet. The young generation, I think, is missing a lot of that work ethic that you learned when you were younger, that I think I learned when I was younger. My mom was a single mom. You know, I love my dad. He passed away last year, but they were divorced when I was 11. They just didn't love each other anymore, but they still loved the kids. And she worked 3 jobs to put us through school. Wow. And to make us happy. She used to buy the 50-pound bags of powdered milk and add water to it. And that was our milk, you know, and she struggled, but she taught me that integrity, hard work, and taking care of other people, being humble about stuff. Like you say, when you're going up, don't step on people that are at the bottom. Because they might one day flip places with you and you might need that helping hand. So those are things you learn when you're young and you're still applying today. What has been the most enjoyable, and I know you've had a couple of long-term businesses, what has been the most enjoyable aspect of what you do now?
I thoroughly enjoyed what was almost forced upon me in March 2020 when the shutters came down. Before that, I was driving 20,000 miles a year, flying thousands to present events in America and wherever. And then it all stopped on that time when the COVID and the shutters came down there. So I had to pivot. And you know, when you're looking and thinking, well, how can I pivot and still enjoy life? Because that's the thing. There's got to be fun in business. If you're not doing it and having fun, then get out, because you'll just pass your grumbliness across to customers and everybody else, won't you? So the pivot that we did was to establish BVTV or BizVision TV, BVTV, and we now have 12 channels. And in that time from March 2020, we've won 3 Best International Production Company Awards, which we're quite chuffed about, and have over 10,000 viewers every month, growing substantially. And we've had some incredible guests, including somebody called Mitche Graf.
Yeah, over 600. That's incredible. So obviously, it takes a lot of organization. I mean, that's a huge undertaking. And I don't think at the beginning you had that grand vision, or did you? Did you know right off the bat, hey, this is going to have 10 channels. I'm going to scale this thing and I'm going to have all these different niches? Or did you have an idea to start one?
Yeah, you see, a lot of my background has been involved with organizations like BBC and presenting a lot of video and online stuff there. So I felt that I knew my way around the presentation game there. What I didn't know at the time was how difficult it was going to be to get started on what I was doing because of the resistance by my target market, which was CEOs, C-suite, managing directors, and so on, who suddenly had to be visible on this thing called Zoom. And they'd never had to do that because, well, in the past, all they had to do was to tell the secretary to send an email to everybody, and out would come the tablets of stone to everybody, and they could just sit quietly in their corner office. Now they had to suddenly show compassion and be online and be visible to people. That took a while to get them sort of over the hurdle of it.
Right. Well, and CEOs and C-suite level people, time is their most valuable asset. I mean, I look at my time and what I do. the decisions I make determine how my day goes and what happens tomorrow, in 6 months, in a year, for my, not just my businesses, but for my children, for myself. And so how I organize my time is very important. Give me the first 60 minutes of your day. I mean, there's days I think that you have like 10 interviews, right? I mean, there's been times I've got an email from you. Hey, today I just all day long, I got interviews. Tell me the first 60 minutes when you get up, when that bell goes off, tell me your first hour.
I take all my tablets, Mitch, that
you got to take the medicine to keep going all day long.
I've got to do when you get to my age, you know. Yeah. And,
do you have one of those things that says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Yeah, you've got it. You've got it.
Okay.
3 boxes: AM, PM, evening, and then I also check that I'm still alive, because that's a good one, isn't it? You know, and then I go downstairs and I make my wife a pot of tea and take her to her bedroom and wake her up and open the curtains and all those other things that get her annoyed at that time of the morning.
Yeah. So you're not on your phone. You're not checking email. That first hour is you dedicated to the love of your life and getting your day started off on that right foot.
Yeah, I am not known for a big mobile phone user. In point of fact, I don't know why I've got one, because I've got podgy fingers, you know, and I'm always getting text problems and everything like that. So I'm not that type of person. My wife is the opposite, by the way. Kim is the opposite. She'll spend the morning there. You got it, yeah. But then it's all grandchildren stuff coming in, or messages from all over. You know, she's just good on all of that. Malcolm's not like that. I like to watch the news.
Well, it's the yin and the yang. That's probably why you guys get along so well, because you have some opposite tendencies in your personalities, right? What can you recommend to, let's say it's that CEO of a one-man business or a 5-man business, and they have become addicted to that device, and it really has become addictive. I mean, your brain releases dopamine, and it becomes something we crave, and we have to always get it. It's like the gambling. You hear that sound, and you hit a quarter jackpot. You got to do it again. That's a chemical reaction that your body goes through. And the same thing happens when you're on social media. You got to get that thumbs up. You got to get that like. You want to find out what Aunt Betty said about your post from dinner last night. It becomes addictive. What can you recommend to someone that feels that they have kind of fallen down that rabbit hole, but they know that they have to pull themselves back if they want to build their business to the point that they know it can be?
Yeah. You see, I think a lot of that is down to the fact that they're frightened that somebody's saying anything bad about them, or they're missing opportunity. Now, having been in travel and hospitality for all those years, and I was at the very, very beginning of package holidays, where, you know, to be truthful, we were building the swimming pool as the plane was in the air flying to Spain. You know, it was as renowned as that almost there. And we were really at the forefront of complaints and things like that. And there's nothing you could do, because that was part of that evolving new business there. And I learned over time there, you have to switch off. You have to, if you don't switch off there, and I'm a bit of a workaholic, so I've got to be careful where I say that, but if you don't have some ways of switching off, then what you will do is you will just burn yourself out. And what you will also do is you will let paranoia take over. You'll be worried about every risk. You'll be worried about everybody. And, there'll be nobody but you can do it well. So you've got to really start saying, that's my work time. That's my work. There's nothing wrong with thinking about it outside of hours there, but that's my function and everything like that. I'm not going to worry about something. I mean, I specialize a lot in helping hospitality people solve their problem with TripAdvisor. I think you might have Yelp over in the States.
We have TripAdvisor too. We have both.
Yeah. And the, people get furious about it. How dare somebody write anything bad about me and everything like that? And I'm saying to them, just let it go. You can't please all the people all the time, can you? And I think that that's a real worry, the real phenomenon we've got around at the moment, where everybody thinks that it's got to be perfect all the time. It's not like that in life, is it?
Well, that's pretend you got a business that's gotten some negative hits for whatever reason. They dropped the ball. They have some systems that need to be rebuilt for whatever reason. What can you recommend to them
Yeah.
when they are getting 1 star, 3 star, they're getting hit from all kinds of customer complaints. What should they do? First thing.
Well, first of all, don't ignore them, because what you're getting is free feedback from a customer.
Yeah.
So, but just don't get yourself riled. I teach people as well, address the good, address the bad, but forget the ugly. And there are plenty of uglies on those sort of things there, but go for it. You're getting free feedback. By the way, if you actually do something like this, you can spot opportunity, because there must be something that you're not satisfying for a customer. So, wow, wonderful. You don't have to pay thousands for research. Your customer's doing it for you and giving you feedback. Make sure you thank the customer. Make sure you thank them, good or bad. As I say, forget the ugly. There are some trolls around there, but make sure that you do that. And always, if you have a team, discuss it with the team. Otherwise, you get too defensive. Your team knows what's going on the coal face, don't they?
Yeah. Yesterday, I was getting gas at a local gas station. I had one of my employees with me. We're going to a meeting up in Portland, Oregon, and lines were long. They had like 12 pumps, but every pump had car, and there was at least 2 deep behind them. It took me 20 minutes to get up there. The manager there's a Safeway. They have a gas station. The manager of the store was out there, of the grocery store. And he was just walking around. Sir, thank you so much for your patience. I know you've been here a while. We really appreciate the patience. How's your day going today? You know what? And I was starting to feel my blood pressure go up a little bit, because we had to be somewhere. It's like 20 minutes later, and I've written a couple books on customer service. And I'm like, okay, buddy, you're going to be in my next version of my book. But I just took a deep breath. But he came out and he put his elbow on my thing and just started talking to me, diffused the situation 100%. I took a deep breath and I said, you know what? I really appreciate what you just did. And I'm sure you're doing the same thing to every other person. He says, I have to. Otherwise, the 20 people that are here right now, they're going to leave here with a bad experience. And guess what? They're going to tell friends and family. They might even post something online. They might even call my boss and complain. He said, so this is the least that I can do to make sure that the train keeps going down the road. And I love that story, And back when you were in hospitality, can you give me a story of a terrible situation that turned good? Either to you personally or to someone that you've heard.
Yeah, I'll go a different one. We, when we were in the travel agency, Kim and I, we won a national radio advertising award using a particular star at the time, and Roy Kinnear. He's been in many films, and he played the awkward customer. To one of our filming with one of our travel agency staff, and she'd say, well, what about Crete? No, I can't go anywhere with the letter C in it. Those sort of things, and so, the awkward customer bit has always come across, and I don't think there is such a thing as an awkward customer. They're usually one of 3 Ds. One is that they are distracted. They've come into your restaurant or your hotel or whatever it may be. They've found it difficult to park, or that boss has been lousy today. So they're totally distracted. It's nothing to do with you. It's just the way that life has gone on that day. Or they're sort of they're disappointed, and disappointed can often happen, particularly if, you go to a restaurant and there's a picture of the food, which I hate going to those places where you got pictures of the food and the actual food doesn't arrive looking like the picture.
Right. I'll take that right there.
Yeah, that's it, and you're disappointed, but that's a small amount there. And then there's a few that are disruptive. And they're the small people, the small amounts are disruptive. We used to teach, though, that the worst people for moaning in the world, by the way, and there's extensive research done, are, hold your breath, Canadians.
Really?
Well known in the past to write the complaint letter before they've traveled.
Well, they have a lot of extra time up there, right?
Yes, yeah.
So,
but when you start to look at it, then you dissect something like that awkward customer. It doesn't matter I had 130 passengers one day in a hotel in Italy on a skiing holiday, shouting at me because they weren't satisfied. The hotel had let them down and everything like that. And you've got to just have empathy with those people. It's their holiday. I understand that. And all they want to do is to talk to somebody, and somebody that will listen to them there. And if you use the 3Ds, as we keep teaching people there, you can diffuse.
Yep.
That's the fourth.
And that makes everything okay. That makes everything a little bit less bad, a little bit less intense, a little less emotionally interactive, where you can just say, you know what? Okay, I'm all right now. I'm going to move on. And it becomes a pleasant experience, not a negative one that affects you.
Yeah.
We all have emotions. And when we have a bad experience, our emotions kind of follow that bad experience. So as a business owner, I think for your whole career, haven't you kind of tried to make sure that the customers don't get to that place so that you can treat them like gold, and making sure that you're listening to them and diffusing situations?
Yeah, I think, though, Mitch, we've got a big challenge at the moment, and that challenge is caused by technology, not removed by technology. Don't get me wrong. I am not a Luddite. I'm so for technology. As you know, we have our auto scheduling and all those sort of things. But one thing that's happening, let's take, for example, the big problem in the world at the moment of no shows in restaurants. And it is massive. 1 in 7 in the UK at the moment. And that's very, very expensive. And as people are saying, the reason why it's caused a lot these days is that people have booked online. They haven't had to make that personal call to and talk to the restaurateur. They've booked online. So therefore, it really doesn't matter, does it?
How do you find with your auto scheduler, with all your guests, do you find that the people are having that same experience, or is it a little bit different dealing with CEOs?
We try to blend so that, for example, as soon as somebody books on our auto scheduler, they'll get a personal email from me saying, "Hi, Mitch, thanks for booking. Looking forward to chatting. This is the next stage in the process." That's not auto, by the way. That is personally written to me. The auto scheduler idea is so that you can book in your time wherever you are in the world. For example, I was in Australia the other morning for an 8 o'clock in the morning interview, and then at night time in San Francisco at 6 o'clock. I'm not going to sit up all night trying to schedule things in when you can do it so easily with a scheduler. So I think you've got to go so far towards automation, but you've also got to remember that people buy from people, don't they?
They do. Absolutely. You add that personal touch. All right. So you got your first hour in the morning dedicated to yourself and to your lovely wife. You have your day, which is crazy, but it's kind of automated and scheduled, and you know what to expect when your day starts. Tell me about the last hour of your day before you shut off. What's that last 60 minutes like?
Sometimes I can't remember because I have more than one glass of wine with my wife.
Oh,
yeah.
Give me more than that. Tell me more. You're having a glass of wine with your wife on the back deck.
Oh, well, we have different times. We call it consultation period time.
Okay.
And when I'm finished.
Oh, is that what you call it these days? Okay.
Yes. Don't forget, by the way, that at my tender age, I'm in bed by 8 o'clock at night. So I can't watch the 9 o'clock news. I'm fast asleep in the chair. So, but roughly, So really, after I finish my last conversation, for example, with you today, by 6 o'clock there, I will go and Kim and I have different types of across the week. We'll have a consultation period, we call it, where we'll sit around the table with a bottle of wine. She tells me what's happened to her business today, what she's been doing. We'll chat about the grandchildren. We'll chat about my business, which is her business as well there. Right. And we call it a consultation period. So there will be, it means there's 2 candles on and a bottle of wine.
Yeah, and you can write off the bottle of wine.
I wish you could. No,
tax
you can't.
Deduction, right?
I've got to work on that one, though, Mitch.
That's right.
I'll work on it.
Well, and so many people talk about the morning routine to make sure that in the morning you're starting your day off 100% positive. But a lot of people don't talk about that the night routine, debriefing, and that's kind of what you guys are doing is you're debriefing, talking about your day, talking about your ideas, talking about tomorrow, what the vision is, what the plans are, and that's just That's part of a routine.
And, there's two things we do every day. One is when I take her a cup of to her bedroom in the morning, a pot of tea, morning kiss. And the other thing is before we go to bed at night, kiss goodnight. Never, ever go to bed on a problem.
Great advice. Great advice. And the same thing can be applied to employees, right?
Yeah. Anybody. It's the world.
Anybody.
It's the world over. Don't have a grumble. Otherwise, your brain will manifest it during the night in the dreams and everything.
That's right. You said morning kiss. I thought you were going to say the morning consultation, but
no, not my
so
age.
How long have you been a mentor and a coach? How long has that been in your quiver?
Really over 40 years.
Yeah.
Because that's what we were trained at Thompson Holidays to do. You always brought on the next generation. You were always there. You weren't the sales manager or everything like that. You were also the mentor to the people that were working with you. And it was a terrific learning. You maybe remember the Thompson organization, Roy Thompson, who was Canadian, who built the Sunday Times, the Times, this massive tour operation, everything there, totally dedicated to people's training. I couldn't believe the amount of fabulous training I got from them. And as a consequence, you was beholden to pass that on to everybody else that was working with you or for you.
And I would imagine you have, how many channels did you say on BizVision TV now?
We've got 12 now. We've just changed everything in this last week or so to what we call Spotcasts.
Right.
And,
I saw that. Talk about that.
Yeah, because the thing is about happened is that during lockdown, people would watch a longer video, a longer interview. Say if I was talking to Mitche Graf or somebody on leadership, then they would watch that longer one. But of course, now with people going back to work or supposedly back to work, short form is much more appropriate. So what we've done is to make everything into what we call Spotcasts, which are less than 10 minutes videos. And that brings a huge marketing opportunity. And so just this last week, we've been launching a number of ones we've just done in trilogy format. So three videos with, for example, the author behind the Vision Code, Dr. Oleg Konovalov in Moscow, and talk about business vision, divide them into three. And the following is enormous. The one we did in Jerusalem the other day, the person we interviewed told us that he had 9,000 views within the day afterwards. So
wow, that's incredible.
The shorter format is quite exciting, and we think we've got a bit of a tiger by the tail, and especially as we've called it Spotcasts, we've got a brand there.
Oh, absolutely. And I love the name too. It tells people exactly what the product's going to be. Yeah, when COVID hit us, I had been thinking about a podcast for many years and never pulled the trigger. I was always doing other projects. So I launched Business Edge Radio. And it was a 1 hour, sometimes an hour and a half. It was just free form. And I'd interview people like Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, and Steve Garvey, a 10-time Major League All-Star here in the United States. And sometimes just me doing a solo cast, talking about everything from time management to motivation, just whatever the subject of the week was. And then I launched the thing called the Business Edge Minute, 60 seconds. You fast forward till now, I'm not doing the hour shows anymore. I gave those up. I'm doing nothing but 5 minutes per week. So 5 episodes a week. And we have 110 radio stations across the United States playing them on a daily basis.
Wow.
With a 30-second ad tagged at the end. And that was something that I didn't envision when it started. But you're right, that our attention spans are so short now, which in social media is responsible for a lot of that. But we have to make sure that we are retooling our content, right? And making sure that we deliver it where they consume their content in the amount of time that they want to consume it. And the people that you are going after, the people I go after, they just have a few minutes, 10 minutes or less, like you're doing. So is there a biz spot for every one of the channels for BVTV?
Yeah. Every one of the 12 channels has a Spotcast title, such as, for example, BVTV Today's Leader Spotcast, or BVTV Net Zero Spotcast, which is all about going carbon neutral. And then
Wow.
we've got Hospitality Today, which has got a subtitle of Beds, Bars, Bites and Bookings. We've got liveliness in it all there. And I think one of our fastest growing one is going to be the Silverpreneur Spotcast, which is for people age 50 plus starting a business, maybe because they've got to or because they want to. And they've got a different challenge.
You wrote a book called Business Begins at 50.
Yeah. It's an audio program.
Well, tell me about how you got that idea to do that.
Because I was turned 50, mate.
Because you were 50.
And there's huge challenges for people age 50 plus starting a business. And I took it to one of the big 4 banks here in the UK to look for some promotional support, because I said to them, well, these people want to start accounts and things like that. No, we don't want to do that because it's expensive money. Those people age 50 plus won't take any risk. And I thought, how naive of you. And it's quite interesting that particular bank, which is one of the largest in the UK, now has been overtaken by 4 challenger banks. We combined their combined business, these new online banks there. 4 challenger banks have got more customers than that traditional old fuddy-duddy bank that have got there. And we've been interviewing a number of these banks who want to be involved with the Silverpreneurs, because, as they're saying, 50 is the new, well, I'm saying the 70 is the new 50, by the way.
Are you 70? How old are you now? Or how
72,
young are you?
72.
72. Okay.
Yeah.
When do you think you're going to be done?
I'll edit that bit out, by the way, Mitch, if you don't mind.
Well, I think it's important for people to understand.
I know.
You're going strong. You're going as strong as a 29-year-old right now.
Without a doubt, it's the tablets, the cream, and the younger
tablets
wife.
In the morning. That's right. The routine, the consultations,
and so the younger wife. Don't forget that.
How many years younger is she?
11.
11. I'm 17 older than my wife.
Oh, wow.
I have you beat, but she keeps me young. I'm going to be 71 years. I'll be your age when my youngest child graduates from high school.
Yeah.
Well, that just forces you to just slow down, make sure you're doing the things that matter with their lives, with your lives. You got to keep yourself healthy. You got to make sure you're eating right and getting the good red wine with the tannins to help your heart, right? All those things. Mm-hmm. But it just makes you slow down a little bit. And I think that's the advantage of being 50 and starting a business, a silverpreneur, versus someone that's 20. Give me a Malcolm 20-year-old philosophy that does not exist now. Something that you thought was the most important thing in the world that you learned over your career that it really wasn't that important.
I worked for some companies at that particular time. One is a major toy company that you have in America. It's probably your biggest toy company. And I worked hard. They'd come into the UK. This was the end of the 60s, worked hard. Christmas time, you went to the big stores, you took the order, you dashed back, you grabbed a van, you delivered. And I worked really, really hard. And then that American company on Christmas Eve made the whole of the UK sales force redundant. We were a little bit annoyed.
A little bit.
Yeah, and they said to me, well, where's your suitcase? We'll give you a ticket back home. Where's your suitcase? I said, well, nobody told me I had to bring my suitcase. But I said, well, we'll lend you your car to get home. Well, it took them 2 weeks to find me, by the way, after that. But, I got so aggrieved of how to handle people like that. I vowed never again to work for a company that was like that. And then guess what I did? I went to another UK toy company, and if I could ever find the sales director, I'd kick his gravestone, because one week out of the 40-odd salespeople in selling kits, your plastic kits to make aircraft, things like that, he sent a note out to everybody and said, Gallagher, never Malcolm, by the way, Gallagher is #1 this week. Let's hope he keeps this up rather than his usual pathetic effort.
Oh, geez.
And that was his motivation. He would ring the salesmen's wives and say, do you know how bad your husband is performing at the moment and how much bonus you're not going to get? And you know, that's the
obviously not a mentor of yours, right?
Yeah, that was the 60s there. Could you imagine? But you know, I still believe that those businesses exist there, and they're going to go out of business soon, because unless you're a conscious leader, which is what we're about at this moment in time, there, understanding conscious leadership, caring, compassionate, and understanding, then you're going to go out of business very quickly, and well, you deserve it.
And the downsizing is not done. I mean, we live here in Oregon. We have mask mandates again. My kids have to wear masks indoors and outdoors all the time now. We can't go into a store unless we have a mask on, and it's not by choice. Most of the companies have said you cannot come in here unless you have a mask.
But you've always done that in the Wild West of the USA, haven't you?
We always have. That's right. But one thing that's different this time than last time is before there was belligerent people that were just adamant, I'm not going to wear a mask. And there was a lot of this going on. Yeah. This time, the managers and the store owners they're kind of letting it go because they realize it's just not worth it. We just need to get through this as quickly as possible. But the business downsizing is not done. I mean, in hospitality especially, we have a catering company. And for the last 2 years, we've been voted Pacific Northwest Caterer of the Year, which last year meant nothing because we had zero business. Yeah. Last week, I purchased one of the biggest catering companies in Portland. She wanted to sell. I bought it from her. So now we're going to kind of put the two together. But she said, it's just too tough. You know, and people are lowering their prices now because they think they have to, instead of saying, no, what can we do to do value added service so we can raise our prices so our customers are happier? The whole industry is undercutting with price. And I see that happening with other, especially brick and mortars. Amazon is kind of controlling the online presence. So there's not a lot of going cheaper. But the brick and mortar, the mom and pop stores across America, they're getting downward pressure on pricing. And that's not what they need right now because they're not going to survive. And you fast forward 6 months, I imagine in the UK as well, there's going to be a lot less companies than we have right now. You just hit it so well on the head, though, about the added value. People will pay. They will pay for the experience, They won't pay just because you call yourself Posh Restaurant Limited or whatever it may be. Yeah. You got to show them. Yeah, I was listening to a restaurant critic this morning talking about a rooftop restaurant in London, top of a hotel. He says, and I went there, the cheapest bottle of wine, the cheapest wine was £84. You can translate it into dollars. He says, and I know that wine retails at £13. Right. I said, now, you wouldn't have minded that if the rest of the experience and rest of the food was good, but it was inattentive service, it was poor food, the whole experience was marred. Some of my best experiences at a restaurant have been just little hole in the walls where you go in there, you got great service. Yeah, the atmosphere is okay, but the service is phenomenal. The food is okay, but you end up tipping 25, 30%. Going home and saying, man, let's go back there again, versus going to those 5-star restaurants that you walk in, you have to ask for the water to be refilled. Yeah. The steak comes out cold. And you call it the CX, that's what it's all about these days. The guys that get that, and that's what they pitch their tent on, they're going to be successful in 12, 24, 5 years from now. So where are you going to be? Where's BizVision in 5 years? In 5 years' time, the beauty of what we've built, building, Mitch, is that we are not location dependent. Right. Because the whole studio can be moved into anywhere. We already have our outside broadcast stuff that we were doing before pandemic, so we can move the whole element anywhere. Everything is cloud-based and backed up and everything there, so I could be recording wherever I wanted to do there. So the next 5 years are going to be quite interesting because our grandchildren are growing up. That is the restraint that in one way, because we want to be close by, don't we?
So that's the only restraint. I think that we're going to see huge changes in what we're doing at the moment, like what you and I are doing. I'm not going to say there's going to be a hologram of Mitch like ABBA, but it's going to be the way soon. And we see new ways of webinars, new ways of virtual selling, new ways of coaching that are going to be happening because so many people are so more comfortable now with what you and I are doing here at this very moment.
Do you see yourself being the host of every single interview, or do you see the business growing to the point where you kind of step back, let somebody there in the UK do, say, half of the interviews, as long as you're overseeing, maybe helping them with the scripting, the questions, or do you see yourself being involved with every step?
No, we already have those conversations going. And strangely enough, at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, I've got the second chat with someone coming in on one or two of the channels. So no, I'm not. I haven't got that much ego, by the way, Mitch.
Wouldn't it be cool to sit there and bounce your 2-year-old with a glass of wine in your hand while you're listening to the broadcast of somebody else interviewing your guest? Wouldn't that be a great thing?
Yeah.
Who has been your mentors growing up and now? Who has been your business mentors? Who have you looked up to over the years?
I'm not a believer in that.
Okay.
What I am a believer in is I have a thirst for knowledge, and I've interviewed the authors, I've actually have something like 50 odd books on the shelf here of authors I've interviewed in the last 3 months.
So you're an avid reader. You consume by reading.
I devour it. I am. I'm an avid reader because I don't want. I like taking different opinions. So, for example, on television, I'll watch the BBC News, yes, but then I'll switch over to RT, which is Russia Today, or I'll go to Al Jazeera, and I'll look at the different ways that people are presenting the news because I don't want just one person's opinion.
Exactly. Well, we all get in our silos, don't we? This is our silo, and that's all we consume is people that agree with us.
Yes.
The way we expand our knowledge base is to look at this silo. Might not agree with it, but at least we know what their reason is and why they believe what they believe. And it doesn't have to be politics. It can be business. It can be selling techniques. It could be customer service. It could be anything, right?
Yeah. I still have by my bed the dictionary that I had when I was 11 or 12 years old that I went to bed with every night and tried to read 2 or 3 new words.
You were one of those.
It's a bit dog-eared now, but never mind.
You were one of those freak childs. Okay, I understand now why you are the way you are. So look, there's a lot of adequate businesses today. How does a business go from being adequate to being awesome?
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing. We don't try not to use the word awesome over here because it's too American, if you know what I mean.
You used it yourself in a blog post last year, Malcolm.
Yeah, I know. But I'm trying to appeal to the market over there. Anyways, no, that was a throwaway. That was a throwaway.
Oh, okay.
It was a throwaway.
This is a throwaway question.
I was feeding you there. Listen, I think the difference between going from adequate to awesome is really attitude. Attitude kickstarts success. If that business owner doesn't want to go from being a lifestyle business to a growth business and doesn't have the right attitude to apply there, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen just because you're open there. You've got to want, and you've got to be committed. And I meet a lot of businesses there that say, "Oh, I'm doing all right at the moment. I don't need to go for growth again in business. I'm doing all right." And suddenly they lose one good customer, and they need to do something about it. And they get that customer, replace that customer, and then, "Oh, I'm doing all right." You're thinking, you're not really forward thinking. You've got no sort of attitude that's correct in wanting to take the business on. Quite right in many cases. If that's what they want, just a lifestyle business, that's fine. But I don't think you can survive in a lifestyle business. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah, that's a good point. So how can a business avoid sales stagnation?
Yeah, sales stagnation is an interesting subject, and I've done a few videos on that. I think that's because, and I've seen this time and time and time again, the salesman says, well, I know it all. There's nothing new for me to learn. And as you and I both know, there's constant change, particularly in selling. Virtual selling now accounts for 70% of, roughly in many places, of the sales that are happening, but only 15 to 20% of salesmen are effective on virtual selling. They don't learn the new techniques. They're not constantly wanting to change from being a salesperson to being, should we say, a trust-based salesperson.
Right. Well, and it's the old Paretos Principle, the 80-20, where 80% of our results comes from 20% of our efforts. I actually think it's a 95-5 these days.
Yeah.
Because we've all had to niche down even more. And so the 5% of the time that we spend is bringing us 95% of our results. So how do we go about figuring out what those 5% of the activities are, and then getting rid of the other 95%, whether through delegation, finding a host to kind of pick up some of this growth, right? You can't just do the growth all yourself. You bring other people in to help you. You bring people in that are smarter than you, hopefully, and then you let them do their job. So what can you recommend to a business that kind of feels themselves spending a lot of time spinning the wheels because they got to answer the phones, they got to do the minimum wage stuff, but they know inside their head and inside their heart, they know they should be doing the things that bring the biggest results. What do you recommend to someone that's having that struggle?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, because I had a similar thing when I was doing a major sales conference in next to the Alamo, yeah,
San Antonio,
yeah, San Antonio, 400 people in the information destruction and records management there. And we were talking about applying KPIs to key performance indicators there, and the amount of business owners that would spend time driving across town, and driving across town in your area of the wood is like 3 days, isn't it? Just about.
No, in my neck of the woods, I drive 3 minutes. I'm out of. That's it.
Yeah.
We're in another town. I mean, we're the country. We have no towns.
All right, but if you take some of those big sprawly towns that you've got there, they drive out to get a part for the van, rather than prioritizing, getting it delivered by a courier and everything, thinking they're going to save $3 or $4 doing it that way. But what they've just done is waste the time. Prioritizing your time, I think, is key these days. People don't do it. They think, I hate that expression when you say to somebody, oh, I'm sorry for taking up so much of the time. And they'll say to you, oh, no problem. I was just wasting time. You think,
right?
That's your most precious resource, isn't it? Yeah. And people, that's one of the biggest productivity blocks I think that people have these days. They don't prioritize, don't waste their time. I'm lucky because when Kim, my wife, has a consultation period and reviews what I've been doing, she says, you've been doing things that you've been enjoying more than actually getting on with growing the business, haven't you?
Yeah. How much money did it make?
Right? That's right. Hey, and you need that jolt now and then.
Right. Well, and this interview is not going to be one of your biz spots. This is not going to fit in that mold of 10 minutes or less. So what do you mean when you say, as a leader, you're either on the dance floor or you're on the balcony?
Yeah.
I'll dig into that a minute.
Yeah, I think the thing is that people want to look over the balcony. I don't think you've ever been to a dance hall where there's a balcony.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're looking down, not participating there, not participating with the rest of the people. And they want to just be aloof and overview. And that's where I think a lot of our leaders have got the mistakes today. They're having to learn very quickly, by the way, and that they've got to be one of the team. They've got to be in there. They've got to be able to have a whole conversation. They've actually got to know who's working for them. But all too often they just want to be aloof, the top floor looking down.
Yeah. That's a great thought. That's a great thought. Okay, we've talked about this before. 10 or 15 years ago, I was in Heathrow Airport. I just did a speaking tour over there for professional photographers, and they have a Scotch shop at Heathrow. Do they still have it there? But they had this gated area in the back, and inside the gated area, there was a hole in the center, just dozens of these things. I won't even tell you what the price was, but it was like half price. That's what, they planted to see. This is half price while supplies last. Like 1,500 pounds or something, some incredible amount. And I just made a couple of bucks. I was feeling pretty good, but I just said, my wife's going to kill me if I bought this bottle of Scotch that I didn't plan on drinking. Over a 6-hour delay, the plane was delayed. Over 6 hours, I went back and forth. Finally went in, bought this right before they did last call. I have never popped the cork. It is still brand new.
Yeah.
My wife, about a month ago, said, Mitch, we got married. You've had 3 kids. What are you waiting for? If you were to have this bottle, this is a 1963. I was born in 62, so it'd have been even cooler if it was a 62. But if you had this bottle right here, give me an occasion that Malcolm and Kim Gallagher would have to open this bottle of 58-year-old Scotch.
Sorry, Mitch, but who needs an occasion? Just pass it over.
That's the best answer I think I could get. It's perspective, isn't it? It's all perspective. Well, you don't have to wait, because you might not have tomorrow. There might not be
exactly.
Especially at your age.
Yeah, I'm a good carpe diem, isn't it? Seize the day. In my case, it's carpe omnia, seize everything.
I love that. Now, how can people get a hold of you besides going to BizVision? How can people get in contact with you directly?
Well, obviously, bizvision.co.uk, but I'm on LinkedIn, again, BizVision. I'm on, we've got our own YouTube named channel now, which again is BizVision. So we're around all places there. And if you actually, I'd like to feel that if you Google the name, you get us as well.
Well, if you Google your name, you also get some pictures back in the 60s or 70s, and you still had the flowing locks that you have now. You've managed to keep that head of hair. It's natural. My hair is natural as well, so we have that in common. But for people that can't view you right now, you do have a full, my dad calls it blonde hair. It's not gray. It's just blonde hair, right?
It's called gravitas, Mitch. Never age. Gravitas, never age, right. Yeah.
Yes. So do you have any ideas? Do you have anything left in your tank of something new? I mean, BizVision has you consumed. Do you have anything new on the horizon that you're going to be introducing to the world?
Yes. I mean, obviously we've just started our 12 Spotcast channels there. And the interesting thing at the moment is, and I can't mention it yet, but the conversations we're having with major media who would like to get involved with our content. And,
okay.
Yeah. And that's very, very exciting future at the moment there. Huge amount there. We're also launching 7 members clubs in the next 3 months, and these membership clubs bring in a lot of the interviews that we've done with people, but also extra learning and everything. And they're much different from other things that are around in the marketplace, because we're very much video based, as you can see and as you know, and we just see that this is the way that it's going to go in the future. For example, can you imagine you're going to make a sales call, and it's a one where you're a little bit nervous about, it's a cold call, and so that you could on your mobile phone just pick up a reminder checklist video before you go in to have that call. And then when you come out of the call, you can go back in and you can do a wash up and, make a note of what you think you've done right or done wrong there. And we can encompass all of that within our platform.
I love that. Well, people can notice that are viewing this on YouTube. This is a fireside chat. So you have an actual fire inside of your house. My vision, and I apologize for that little white thing right over here, but we're getting to 90 degrees today, and the sun is blaring through my back window that has the green screen and everything. I apologize for that. But my fire is outdoors overlooking a beach.
Yeah.
as a
Nice.
fire should be, you know.
Very, very
To
nice.
me, that's a perfect day. What's a perfect day to you? I assume it includes Kim, but describe what the perfect day for Malcolm is.
Well, do you know, I had a perfect day the other day, and this might sound strange, but since March 2020, I've hardly been out. I've been locked in, but naturally, because of all the interviews we're doing all over the world, and the editing and all of the things we've been doing there. And the other day, I went out with Kim, and we went about 10 miles to the beach area, and it was raining. It was cold, which it shouldn't be in August here in beautiful Northumberland, but it was there. And we went and got fish and chips, and we sat on a picnic bench in the park there and had fish and chips with the rain hitting us and everything, and had a really good chat, and then sent pictures to all the children about what we were up to. And I tell you what, I came back and thought, that's the best. That was better than all the other places I've been to in the world.
That is a perfect day. That absolutely is. And with the right mindset, you can have perfect days all the time.
Yes.
But it is perspective. You can't wait. I mean, everything's not going to go perfect every single day. But what you just described, I felt that perfection. I felt like, man, if I was there, it'd be the best day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to have the best days of my life every day with my kids, because one day I might not be around. I mean, I want to be there for everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm getting older and I might have only 25 years. I want to see them all get married, you know. I better have a perfect day today and tomorrow and the next day, and everybody out there can. So
yeah, well, I had another one yesterday morning. If I just tell you last one, yeah, the grandchildren were going to school, and obviously going up in class and things like that. And we were getting the pictures through from the respective mothers of them dressed with a school uniform on and all that sort of thing, you know, looking really, really nice there. Well, I have got this character that I've been doing on video for my for the grandchildren, and he's called Wally the Wizard. And
Wally the Wizard?
Yeah, Wally the Wizard, you know, where's Wally type of thing.
Okay,
and over the lockdown period, I've made lots of little videos there with Wally hiding in our garden. We've got an extensive garden with trees and all over there. And the children had to find him on the video and that thing. So I got Wally dressed up yesterday morning with his satchel, his school bag and everything like that. And we sent a picture of him. So Wally's ready to go to school. Wally the Wizard ready to go to school. And at the end of the day, he'd done very well in his spelling test, wizard spelling. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The children loved it.
That's
part of it, isn't it?
That is part of it. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Well, Malcolm Gallagher, it's been an honor to spend some time with you. Hopefully your viewers and listeners have been able to see a different side of you that sometimes you just don't have time because you're asking guests about themselves. And I just wanted to give you the opportunity to just have people get to know you a little bit about your family, what drives you. And you can sense the passion that oozes out of your pores. You can see it on video. You can hear it in audio. And I hope that the people that follow you have now learned a little bit about Malcolm Gallagher. Thank you so much for the opportunity to ask you the questions on your show.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say to you, that was a new experience for me.
Good.
Maybe when I look back, I'll stick to this side of the camera. Thanks, Mitche Graf. Thanks, Mitch.
Have a great day.